Right. All right. So good evening, everybody. Like I said before, my name is Daniel, and welcome to the first ASNA webinar of this year entitled The Board Meeting, Meet ASNA's Leadership. We are here this evening to hear from some of the brilliant minds that have overseen the Actuarial Students National Association over the last few years. A big thank you goes to our 5 guests, Su Liu, Amy Shao, Abigail Utomo, Darshwadia, and Isaac Marchand. And of course, we'd like to thank the Canadian Institute of Actuaries who power this webinar series. As a quick breakdown of the evening, I've reserved roughly 40 minutes to hear from our panelists, starting with some prepared questions that I have, and then opening up the floor to you. After that, we'll move into breakout rooms so you can network and ask your questions to the panelists. One more thing. Those of you in attendance may be eligible to earn tickets for our annual webinar raffle. If you ask one question during today's Q&A session before the breakout rooms, your name will be entered into the raffle one time. You can earn more entries by attending our future webinars and asking questions there as well. And what's the prize? You'll just have to wait and see for now. But I can promise you one thing, it's going to be big. So, with all that said, how about we jump right into it? We'll hear some introductions of our five guests. They will tell us their name, their school/alma mater if they've graduated, their role at ASNA or on the board of directors, and where they are at now. Let's start with our president from this year, Sue.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. My name is Sue. I just graduated from University of Waterloo. I study mathematics, specialize in actual science and statistic. Um, my role at ASNA is president, and I'm currently in Vancouver. And
Thank you,
I,
Sue.
yeah.
We'll move it over to our convention chair for this year, Amy.
Thanks, Daniel. Super excited to be here. My name is Amy. I'm this year's convention chair, and I'm going into my 4th year of actuarial science at the University of Calgary. And I'm currently at Oliver Wyman in Toronto.
Very nice. We'll move it to last year's president, Abigail.
Hi everyone, my name is Abigail. I'm currently the executive director at ASNA. I'm still a student. I'm a 5th year actual science student from the University of Calgary as well, just like Amy, and I'm currently an intern at Aviva.
Very nice. Let's go to Darsh, last year's convention chair.
Hey guys, my name is Darsh. I just graduated from Western University. I finished an honors specialization degree in actuarial science there. I'm going to be coming to Toronto the next week. I'm in DC right now, just visiting my girlfriend, and I am going to start working at EY in insurance consulting. It's not actuarial, it's more tech consulting. But yeah, I think that's it. And Daniel just said I was convention director the year before this, and I'm going to pass it on to you, Daniel, again. Thank you.
Thank you, Darsh. And last but not least, certainly we have Isaac Marchand, the convention chair from 2 years ago.
Hi everyone. As Daniel said, I'm Isaac. I did my undergrad at Laval University in Quebec City, where I am currently visiting some friends, and I'm an incoming PhD student at the University of Toronto in statistics.
Congratulations, Isaac. So as you guys have just heard, we have students from all over the country. Isaac, Laval, Sue, originally from Vancouver, and everywhere in between. So my first question to our panelists is going to be, how did you first hear about ASNA? What was the thing that sparked your interest in this organization? First, I think it's fitting. Let's talk to our president from this year, Sue.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting story because when I joined uni it was back in 2021. We're still online. 2023, I heard about ASNA in December, which is already past like Beaver registrations. Um, they charged me a premium price, but I didn't end up paying it to go to ASNA, but kind of regret it because after that, the recruitment's kind of getting a little bit hard. So I went to Montreal. That was my first conventions for ASNA. 3 days was very intense, but I felt like my money was well spent in those 3 days. And then later, I find, some of the my friends who are in the exec teams telling me you should join ASNA as a VP case competitions. That's where I was in Niagara Fall. And then I decided to run for even more like higher positions. So I run for a president-elect, and now I'm president. That's kind of my journey to ASNA. But if I were already, if I know ASNA already, I probably would do it first year as well. But that's kind of how I know about ASNA and join ASNA.
Fantastic. And I know, like myself, the first real introduction to ASNA comes at the convention. So why don't we move to Amy, our convention chair? How did you hear about ASNA?
Yeah, I think my first convention was also the 2024 Montreal one, but for me, when I was a first year, I think I was like pretty intense. Like I joined a bunch of info sessions, and I was there not really to meet companies, but I wanted to meet the students. And everyone's like, "You should go to ASNA. It's so much fun. You get like 4 hours of sleep for the whole weekend." I'm like, "Great!" So sign me up. And then I went as a volunteer. I had a lot of fun, and then I was encouraged, like Abigail and a lot of execs at my club, to like go for higher roles. So that's my journey.
It's a great way to start. And it's definitely true that the people who are already part of ASNA have a great way of finding people to spread it out and grow the community more. So you already mentioned her. Why don't we move to Abigail? Abigail, how did you get your start at ASNA?
Yes, thanks, Daniel. So I'm an international student. When I came here in 2021, in my first year, I was just really desperate to, make it in the end of my degree, right? So I went to my Accide club, I got a mentor, and this mentor told me about ASNA. So since my first year, I went to the online ASNA in 2022. And since then, I had a great experience just online. So I just kept going every year, and involved myself in the organization too, kept going on the higher roles. And that's how I became pres last year. And yeah, I'm happy to see ASNA keep growing year to year. Mhm.
Fantastic. Thank you, all three. Um, you all touched on how you guys found out about the organization, but really, that's only the start. ASNA is a huge commitment for anybody who's involved, whether you're a head delegate, whether you're a VP, a director, regardless. We all are students at the end of the day, taking 4 or 5 classes a term, maybe on internships, stuff like that. It's a big commitment on top of everything else. So my next question is going to be, what inspired you to join the ASNA team? What was your why for joining the team? First, let's go to Darsh.
Yeah, I think the reason for me was predominantly the people that I was surrounded by. I think when I first my entry into ASNA was a good friend of mine, Vishal, who I respected, and he sort of introduced me to people who were part of the team, and everyone on the team left a lasting impression on me. They were all smarter than me. At least I felt like they were a lot smarter than me. They were a lot more capable than me. There were people you want to be surrounded by. And I think everyone knows this, but you are the product of the people you surround yourself with. And I wanted to be surrounded by these kind of people. So that alone was the trigger for me to joining ASNA. And beyond that, it's something else that I find very like something that keeps me going like every day, I think, is just impact. Like you want to do something that's going to affect many people because long after you go, there's something about you that has to stay, right? And I think life-wise, I'm chasing that, and I think ASNA helps me chase that. It's not necessarily a grand scale, but it is a relatively smaller scale. But eventually, that sort of like catapults and snowballs into bigger things, and I guess that sort of exposure to make impact and try change people's lives in the smallest way. Actuaries, even the students, make things more accessible for them. I think those were the reasons why. And something you said kind of like hit me was like, when you're joining ASNA, it's a big commitment. But I think some people say this. It's like when you enjoy what you do, like when it's fun, when work is play, it's no longer working. And ASNA feels like play. So it never felt like work. And that makes it easier to do the work.
Completely echo everything you said, especially just the last statement. Last year as director of sales, it was just such a blast, getting to meet a lot of the students who I would be, helping out register for the convention and organizing the buses. And while, of course, there were challenges, you're surrounded by great people, and that makes the job easy at the end of the day. So completely well said, Darsh. Sue, what about you? What inspired you to join this team?
I think it's very similar story as Darsh. I was in Quantify. I was chair for Quantify, and the previous two chair, which are Tanisha and Fawn, they are also previous Asana exec. After my first attendance to Asana, they were like prompting me to apply, especially for the VP case competition positions. And I do have really good memories from Montreal conventions, and I decided, I might just apply. And commitment wise, I do worry, and especially was a little bit intimidating by you working with people from different campuses and from different regions. I identify myself as an introvert, so I think that could be a little bit challenge for me. But once I was in the team, I think everyone's really friendly. You get to know people from across the country. I know people, student from PI, which I probably would never have this chance to know them if I not joining ASNA. But it's also like the communities. I worked in other industries, in other positions as well. I don't think there's any sort of fields that like actual science, we really trying to help students. We trying to bring every resources that we have to ASNA and make it more equal to students from different regions. If you're from a smaller school, and we're trying to bring that sort of community up in different school as well. So I think that's kind of touching me in ASNA, and that's why I decided to go into a higher role. And in my role now, I'm trying to do initiative that's including more communities in and bringing more resources in to kind of broaden the horizons of a lot of actual students in Canada. So that's kind of how I got inspired to join ASNET and decided to pursue a higher role.
Amazing. And yeah, 100%. The community is a huge part of it. And I think it would be interesting to hear more of what your plans are for this year's convention and all throughout the year. But we'll save that for a little bit later on in today's panel. So for now, let's move to Isaac. Isaac, what inspired you to join this team?
Uh, I think there's definitely a lot of similarities with what Darsh and Sue said. But I think on my side, as I said, I did my undergrad studies at Laval University, which is a great university with a big sense of community for students over there, but it's a bit kind of remote in Quebec City where, there's plenty of job, but if you don't want to stay in Quebec City, you'll get a lot of connection over there, but not really outside of the city. And I was kind of always knew that I didn't really want to stay there and I wanted to work probably elsewhere in Canada. Uh, and when I discovered ASNA and like got the chance to join the team, I think it was one of the main uh, thing that led me to join the team was the opportunity to meet people from different campuses, from Ontario, from the West, from the East, from kind of all over Canada, people that normally we would never really get to work with, especially living in Quebec City. So I think this was definitely one of the main thing that I led me to join the team, and one of the main thing I enjoyed once I joined the team, kind of meeting people from different campus and people you would normally never quite meet. Uh, and I think I do consider myself an ambitious person, and I think the opportunity to join the team and kind of experiencing different challenge, as you said, being part of the executive team is quite a big commitment. But it is a very rewarding job, and you do learn a lot of like about how to organize a convention, skills you would normally not really learn otherwise. So I think kind of challenging myself and, pushing myself and staying busy was another of the reason I decided to join the team.
Completely agree. And Isaac, one thing that you mentioned, just the fact that Laval is relatively remote compared to some of the other schools in Canada. I want to propose a quick question to the panelists who are here today. For all the panelists, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you now have a close friend that you've only met through ASNA. I see Darsh, I see Zach. I can't see everybody on the screen. I see Abby, I see Amy. I can't, there's Sue. Yeah. So we went 5 for 5. And anybody who's ever been on this team, I think will agree. I know myself definitely. So many of the friends that I consider close nowadays are, the friendships were only formed because of connections made through ASNA. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that a student group like this can be so across provinces and across the whole country, especially, Canada is a huge country. You can make friends from all over the place. So I think that's a really great part of ASNA. Moving on, um, one thing that is super important is the role that you play in the team. Everybody has a specific role, has a specific function, and all the pieces work together to put together the conventions that we look forward to at the end of the year, but then all throughout the year, all of the various projects that ASNA is working on, everybody has a function, and um, these are the main things that you'll do day to day. So the next thing that I want to ask all of our panelists will be, what was your favorite role while you were at ASNA, and what did it entail? Isaac, I'm going to go with you first.
Yep. Uh, I think the obvious one might be the convention chair position, and I think it's the latest one I had, and I think was definitely one of the most rewarding one. But I think my first 2 years as VP Quebec was definitely maybe a bit more, interesting, where, convention chair, you do organize a whole convention, and it's a very logistic oriented job or position. But I think my time as VP Quebec definitely led me to meet more people and to kind of, when I was VP Quebec, your job is kind of to work with all the head delegates from your region and make sure that, everyone knows about ASNA, and like if they have concerns, they're gonna go through you for the whole region of Quebec. Uh, and I think this was definitely one of the most rewarding job of like working with people and seeing, directly, talking with the head delegates and, figuring out what are some of the challenge that the students from the different university might have to attend ASNA or participate in whatever ASNA activities is going at the time. Uh, and I think, yeah, this job was definitely a very interesting job, and where you have to personalize kind of solution for the different university that have different challenge. Bigger university where ASNA already has a bigger presence in usually are kind of easier to deal with, and you'll mostly help the head delegates set up the info session and make sure that all the news goes out. But for a smaller university or university that don't tend to participate as much in any of the ASNA event, you do get to kind of be a bit more creative in ways you could reach out to students and kind of share what ASNA is doing and kind of try and make them use all the resources that ASNA has to offer for the students across Canada. So I think kind of this customization of solving the problem of the different school was definitely a very interesting job my first 2 years as VP Quebec.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaac. Up next, let's go to another convention chair. This year's convention chair, Amy.
Okay, I do think chair has been really fun so far, but I haven't finished the role. So if I were to pick one, I think VP admin would definitely be my favorite for a bunch of different reasons. So it was a really good introduction to all of the business as usual initiatives at ASNA. So we have like our webinars that Daniel is running. We also did a revamp of our mentorship program. So I had a lot of fun working with Annabelle, last year's VP comms, to kind of like quantify, because if you're thinking about mentor-mentee matchings, it can be a lot of work to read through everyone's application. So we really got to try to like streamline this process. And through reading all of the applications, it's really cool to see everyone's like passion and their energy and their commitment to community. So that was a lot of fun. And then of course, just watching how our mentees grew over time and all the successes that they landed at ASNA and over the fall recruiting was really fun. And VP Admin, I also got to make this Movember template. So Abigail got us to do a physical activity challenge. So building that was really fun, and watching the team play around with that was also really cool. So back to you, Daniel.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. And I will say the Movember template was really good. I had a lot of fun with that challenge. So yeah, VP admin, very important role, but just as all the other ones that are on the team. Next up, let's go to Abigail.
Thanks, Daniel. I'm not lying here, but my favorite role has been like being president, but like I don't think I realized that at first, or at least in the beginning of the year. Um, because in the beginning, like the team was really new. I don't know if Sue felt this, but I felt really nervous on like, oh no, how is the team gonna end up like being like what team am I gonna like foster throughout the year, right? But as time went on last year, I started realizing that a lot of you are becoming friends with each other. A lot of you um are great people, and all of you took your own initiatives to collaborate together, and seeing that grow. I don't know if it's because of my leadership, but it could also because of like all of your personality. But it was like it made me really proud to be able to create like a space where ideas are not just being spoken, but they're actually being realized and being done throughout the year. And we all did get to see the fruits of our labor earlier this year. And I think the convention all went great. And it's due to the whole team, being able to work together really well. And yeah, I just feel really proud of me, myself, and also the whole team. So Prez is the role.
I love it, and that gives me a lot of excitement for next year. So yeah, I love that. Also, one thing I'd like to mention really quickly before we move to Sue is for those of you who haven't had the opportunity of being on the ASNA team just yet, the role of the president and the convention chair is so pivotal to the smooth functioning of the entire organization. These two people take on incredible amounts of work to ensure that not only everything is well planned, but that the team is working well, that our objectives are being achieved, and it can be a very taxing or energy consumptive role. So, like Abigail said, sometimes it's hard to stop for a moment and kind of smell the roses among all the other responsibilities you have. But I want to say, for everybody who is on the call right now, the panelists that we have are all incredible leaders. I consider myself privileged to have worked under each of them so far. And so, yeah, I want to just give you guys your flowers because you guys have all been amazing in running this organization. Next up, we'll go to Sue. So, Sue, what has been your favorite role at ASNA?
Yeah, I do have to echo Abigail's. Um, you realize the joy after it finished, and I'm counting down the day to freedom as well. President is an interesting role, and it's 2 years, so the commitment can be high. And 2 years, something could change. Like my commitment changed over the 2 years, so it could be a bittersweet memory. But just to make the response a bit spicy, I'll choose another role. I start as VP case competitions, and I would say it's a pretty good role. I got to work with CA to create our case competitions, and it's for students pretty weird to work with the three associations that I have in Canada to create a case and working with very well-respected professional in the fields to get the case done, and you looking on the other side of case competition to judge the teams, the delegates, and see how they come up with the case. I think was super interesting. We and also helping with this year's VP case comp. The commitment's really high. Like she has to pretty much create the case herself, looking at the data and finding a new topics to talk about that's relevant to SOA. So. Any of the people here feel interesting, sign up for case competition this year during the ASNA conventions. I'll pass it back to you, Daniel.
Awesome. And I haven't had the opportunity of participating in the case comp. And one of my first questions when joining the team last year was, can execs do the case comp? The answer is no, because obviously, conflict of interest. But I highly recommend it to anybody who is eligible. So definitely. Last but not least, let's move to Darsh. What has been your favorite role at ASNA?
Yeah, I think the answer for me is quite easy. It's the convention chair role. And the biggest reason why is simply because of the amount of confidence it gave me. I think earlier when I came to Canada for the first time, I think I sort of doubted myself a lot, and I wouldn't put myself in positions where I could be like make mistakes. I used to be very nervous. Now stepping into convention chair, and then all of a sudden you have this leadership role where you're involved with a team of 23 people and you have a tangible results to give. I think by the end of it, I don't think anyone could tell me who I am except myself. Like I already had something I could tangibly point to that I am capable, I am confident, I can do this. And I think that was the biggest reason why I really enjoyed that role. I think I learned a lot about myself in that role, and that pretty helped with everything after. But beyond that, like, I could go on and on about convention chair. Like, I think I was surrounded by great people. The team morale was, I think, the greatest it's been ever since I joined the team. There was just so much going on about it. Like, everything was great, and I think, like, from the late night calls that I would have with director of accommodations and Neil to figure out last minute changes because the sponsors want to change things. And we would be on these calls till like 2 a.m. trying to figure out where to place these people. And then leading into the convention, I think 2, 3 weeks, me and the team obviously was working like 10-hour days. And I wouldn't take that back because I think maybe there's something wrong with me, but I love my brain being switched on all the time. Like, I think the fact that there's a problem happening and you have to go to a solution is the greatest thing ever. And I think something else that's great is like, um, if something goes wrong and you're like hired as a position, you kind of have this feeling where you're kind of scared, like, oh, they're going to get rid of me, or what are they going to think of me? But there is no what are they going to think of. It's just you, and you have to fix it. So it's not, you don't have time to think about the emotional side of things. It's just very stoic in the sense of like problem, solution. It's all your responsibility. So do it the best you can. And I think I liked how simple that was in a way. I think the emotional part gets a bit in my head sometimes, but that's just a me thing. And yeah, I think that's something else I want to shout out is VP Comms was an honorable mention because I ran the podcast there, and that one was great because I was forced to learn something new almost every month, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Darsh. Um, that's actually a really good segue into the next question, which is, what did you enjoy most about your time at ASNA? Now, that could be a multitude of different things, or it could be, a single moment. Like, was there a point at last convention where you were just like, yes, this was everything that I hoped it would be? Um, and kind of building on that question, which is, what did you enjoy most? Did you learn anything from your experience at ASNA? So obviously, Darsh learned a lot about, different topics on the podcast. But was there anything else about the experience that you learned about yourself? First person, let's go to Abby.
Oh, hard question. I'm going first. Um, let's see. My favorite moment at ASNA. I'm just trying to think a bit back. I wouldn't say it's just at ASNA alone. But I guess I'm a big fan of Aviva. If you guys check my LinkedIn, I've been in Aviva for so long. And it took me like years of going to ASNA and I kept going to their booth. And after the Toronto ASNA in 2023, like I got an interview and I got the job with them. And I think that is like I would say like the first bucket list in like my career, um, that I checked, and like it felt really good to finally be able to, um, you know, get the step one in the goal. Um, and then to add on to that, Daniel, you had like another question on top, right?
Yes.
Could you just repeat it real
Of
quick?
course, of course. Sorry, I did
Mhm.
I did kind of bombard you with a big one.
No
Um,
worries.
the second
Mhm.
part was, did your experience at ASNA teach you anything about yourself?
Right. About myself, I want to piggyback my answer from Darsh's answer earlier, how like it really built my confidence as well. I agree with his view on like how now like I learned a lot about myself. Like I know what I like, I know what I don't like, I know the dynamic that I like in a team. And like that also helped me navigate like what I want in my career as well, right? Because when you go through internships, like you go through like a lot of different cultures, you go through a lot of different team dynamics, and like there are spaces that are meant for you, and there are spaces that maybe you don't fit in as well, and you won't be able to grow from it. And I think the intuition of being able to recognize that is really important, because you'd want to position yourself somewhere where you'd be able to grow optimally for yourself. So that would be my most or like best takeaway from my experience with ASNA.
I love it, and I'm so glad that you experienced the joy of getting an interview finally after working so hard for it and getting the job. That's a huge testament to some of the things that can happen at ASNA. Next up, let's go to Darsh. What did you enjoy most about your time at ASNA?
I think it's hard to tell you what I enjoyed, but I definitely know what I didn't enjoy, and that's when the power went out during the convention. That wasn't a great moment, hated that. But to tell you a little bit about what I think I enjoyed, there were many moments like what Abigail said. There's scattered moments here and there from, going ice skating with Isaac and Abigail and Sam, or like going to this hookah lounge later on, which was just random. So like little memories here and there, or spending time, and everyone is at the interview, we're all interview scheduling, and Gabe St. Aubin is leading the whole thing, and but we're all joking and there's good energy. Or the night before when we're putting the ID cards into the lanyards, there's so many memories there. But I think the one that hits home for me most was when Isaac basically led this whole thing where he shot a video from everyone of the team saying nice things about me, Abby, and like just the team. And I think it was a really great like feeling in my heart, I guess, and it was very like sentimental, emotional, and it felt really good. We got to watch this like long video that they made for us, and I still have the video. I haven't like I guess like if I'm really down, I can always go watch that video. It's not happened yet, great, like luckily, but something to keep in mind for myself. But I think that was a great moment. And did the experience teach me anything? I think I already answered a lot of this in the previous question, but I think the confidence was the biggest thing. And like Abby said, what I like and what I don't like in team dynamics, the kind of people I like working with, the kind of people who I don't like working with, and also just like, I guess the management experience of how to deal with people who are not showing up, or how to deal with people who are showing up. Like, how do you balance being friends with someone and also getting work out of them? Like, there are these like little intricacies there, but I think those were those kind of technical skills in a way, the leadership skills. I think those were the most profound in my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we'll pass it over to Isaac for the last responder to this question. So, what did you enjoy most about your time, and did you learn anything from your experience?
Yeah. Uh, that's a great question. I think what I enjoyed most about my time, uh, maybe shooting the video for Dash and Abigail, and I want to say it was Sue's organization. I just filmed it, but I think no. But jokes aside, I think just it's hard to kind of pinpoint one single moment, but I think what I enjoyed the most of my ASNA experience is definitely the people I met through there. I'm moving to Toronto in a few weeks, and I'm not kind of worried at all about meeting new people or anything, because I do think I have a pretty decent circle of people who are all going to be in Toronto as well, that are all people I met through ASNA. So I think just my best experience were all little moments, as Darsh said, of like going skating with someone, or working late and being on a call with another person, or kind of those type of collaboration are definitely some of the highlights from my ASNA experience. Uh, as for what I learned, I think working with a lot of different people, I kind of had to learn how much can you push someone. Like you do learn that different people have different kind of work capacity, and will react differently if you kind of put a certain workload on them. So I think, and this was just not only from my convention chair time, but also from VP Quebec, where you do work with head delegates and sometimes you expect things from them, but not everyone has the same priorities, and everyone has stuff going on in their life. And as you said, being part of ASNA, you're not being paid for that, right? It's just, time that you have to take away from your studies, or from your exams, or from school, or from your family, and just put it into ASNA. So I think kind of navigating, giving some work to some people and asking them for some deadlines, and trying to understand, how much can someone actually take on, and how do you kind of try and push them without breaking them, we could say. So I think that's definitely a skills that I think, later in life will definitely, be useful. As we all know, if you work as an actuary, or if you work in general, you'll most likely work in teams, so you'll have to kind of navigate those same type of challenge later on in life, of just, how do you work with someone, and, how much can you expect of them, and how much, can you ask of them at any time. Uh, so it's definitely kind of a tricky situation that I think being part of NASNA definitely developed the skills for me.
Awesome. And I mean, 100%, the convention chair and the president, they have to work, long hours to make sure that everybody is getting their work done so that everything comes together. And one thing that maybe people don't know about the roles is that if someone on your team is not getting their work done, eventually it might fall to you. So in the case of the convention chair, let's say I was the director of sales like last year, and I wasn't getting my work done. Well, that would have fallen on Darsh. And so it's really interesting to see how these leaders will, like Darsh mentioned, try to balance the friendship versus kind of boss to employee relationship, for lack of better words. That's never what it felt like, at least not in my case. And that's just a testament to the leadership skills exhibited by the leaders that we have here today. So we just heard from our three no longer on the team panelists. Let's move to the two that are on the team, Sue and Amy. What new initiatives or projects is the ASNA team working on right now ahead of the Montreal Convention in 2027? First up, I want to go to Sue.
Yeah, so some of the stuff are not open to share, but some of the stuff, let's say if you go to our website, you can see we have impact report that's published last month that lists out what some of the performance we have in Ottawa, like how many students come over, what they're coming from, what their levels of experience, the numbers of co-ops that they gather. So highly recommend you check it out and see what have we done in ASNA in last year. One initiative I want to share is that on August 24th, we are having another sort of case competitions happening, partnering with Quantify this year. And it's sponsored by CIA, so you do get like really qualified case and judges to work on a case and see how you perform. So highly recommend for people to sign up for the case competitions and just to network with CIAs and some of the ASNA exec there on August 24th. You will be at U of T if I'm not mistaken.
Excellent. I know that'll be a can't miss event for everybody who can attend, and I will see if I can sneak off to Toronto to attend that one as well. Let's go to Amy. Amy, what's your team working on for the convention?
Okay, yeah, like Sue said, there are probably some things that we can't share, but I do also want to just give a call out to the team. It's also like a lot of the smaller things, like how can we enhance the student experience, streamline like sponsor registration, so things like that. But I think one fun initiative that you guys might be interested in is we're bringing back our TikTok account. So if you want to just insert shameless plug, follow us on TikTok, Anya Asna. Shout out to Clara, our director of special projects. She's bringing back a day in my life series. So make sure to follow us and you'll see a lot of fun content coming out soon.
I know I'm excited to see what Clara does with the TikTok account. Full disclosure, I filmed myself for a day to do a day in the life and accidentally filmed way too much. So poor Clara has to filter through all of the content that I filmed, which is probably over an hour worth of content. So shout out Clara. That's a lot of work. So the last prepared question that I have for our panelists today is the following. What advice would you give to students to have the best experience possible attending ASNA 2027 in Montreal? That could be a small little tidbit. It could be an overarching theme to keep in mind for the convention. But we just want to hear from your experience. What do you think is something important to bear in mind to have a great convention experience? First up, let's go with Darsh.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is um, this is an interesting one, but I think a lot of people who are young tend to have a bit of like pride and ego associated with themselves, where like they're too shy to talk to people. I think there's two ways around it. You're either like too shy to talk to people because they think they're better than you, but also I think that you also think that you have a little bit of an ego where if you go and you make mistakes, they're gonna judge you and you can't handle them judging you. But kill that, like go make those mistakes, talk to them, and you know be the dumbest person you can if you want to be, but like no one's going to judge you. They're all there to help you. Like they already know that they're smarter than you, so you shouldn't go in with that mindset of, oh, what am I going to say that's going to impress them? They don't want to be impressed. They just want you to be curious so that you learn from them. That's the kind of like dynamic that goes on. So for everyone here, just make sure you talk to as many people as you can. I think that's the most important and valuable advice. It's not just for ASNA. I think anywhere in life, Like even if someone, if someone is younger than you, but they're more accomplished than you, go talk to that person, see what they're doing in their life. How are they achieving what they're achieving? I think it's just a super important principle just in general. But beyond that, a second point I want to bring up is the seminars. I think the seminars are overly slept upon. I think they depart great wisdom, great a lot of value. Like, you couldn't even get this if you did a lot of research yourself, because these are people at the frontier of the innovation in the field. So they're coming to you and they're telling you, hey, this is what's happening, and it's the most relevant thing happening in our industry right now, and you don't go for it. So it doesn't make any sense. Which is, I know it's hard because like you have like these late nights, these busy mornings, these busy afternoons, and you want to take the time off, but you've paid that money and you better get all that you can from like the money you spent, and go for the seminars. I think those are my two pieces of advice.
100%. Everybody's focused on, trying to get a coffee chat, trying to get an interview. And that is great. That's obviously a huge motivator to go to the convention, but there is always so much more to that. So completely agree with you there, Darsh. Next up, I think we have to ask the ladies in charge this year. I want to ask Sue, what would be your advice for someone coming to this year's convention?
Yeah, yeah, I do echo with Darsh because I have friends like, oh, what if, I didn't get an interview? What if my friends know? Like, I would be so embarrassed. But 5 years after, no one's gonna remember that you didn't get an interview from what, from Sun Life, from Manulife. Doesn't really matter as long as you try your best shots and you pay the money. So might as well just spend the money wise and try talk to people as much as you can. But I do have to say that you have to be prepared and know what is on Asana. So Friday there's career fairs. You have to print your resume, write your Asana IDs on it. Don't ask for printers on the day. And there are 50 sponsors on career fair, right? So you have to prioritize, like you can't talk to every single one of them. So prioritize who that you're interested in most, which person that you think you might have overlap with that you can spark a very good conversations. And prioritize like five or six over that 1 hour and 45 minutes on the career fairs. And that I think that's a really good kind of experience and that you will get a lot from the career fair. So do your research well and give your best shots. Don't mind the eyes around you. Just try your best over the 3 days.
You hear that, everybody? Do your homework. It's important. No, I'm joking. Yes, do your homework, but like not in that sense. Let's go to our last one for the evening. Let's go to Amy. What would your advice be to someone who's attending convention 2027?
I think Darsh and Sue already covered a lot of great tips and advice, but like I'm also a big introvert, so first asana was pretty scary, but I think definitely being prepared helps, and also just like making the most out of the weekend. So like go to everything. I would strongly encourage you guys to volunteer if you can. I think through that I actually met a lot of people at asana who I was able to like reconnect with later. So I think that's a lot of fun, and relax because it's like you want to be casual, you want to be fun. It's not as great if you're kind of stressed. I think just like really just make the most out of every single day. And also don't forget to connect with people on LinkedIn as well. I think that's also really important.
Definitely. And if I could add one more thing on top of it, I would say generally the people who are part of our community in actuarial science are very friendly, regardless of whether they're introverted, extroverted, or somewhere in between. So if you're going there and you'd like to make some connections just randomly, go and talk to people. It's really nice that this year we have two execs on the team that I only met because they came up and talked to me last year at the convention. So shout out to Sarah and to Alvinson, now very, very valued members of our team. And I never would have met them if they didn't have the courage to just come up to me and talk. So big shout out to both of you. That's all we have in terms of prepared questions. We are running a little short on time for the breakout rooms. So I will open the floor to anybody who has questions. And once we have dealt with those, then we can move on to our breakout rooms. If you have a question, please just throw up your hand and then I'll call on you. Hey, remember we said don't be shy. No, I'm joking. I'm not trying to pressure anybody. All right. Well, if there are no questions, then we can move into the breakout rooms. The way that we are going to set them up is that we are going to have In room number 1, we are going to have Abigail, Darsh, and Isaac, so the previous leaders of ASNA. And in room number 2, we're going to have Sue and Amy, this year's leaders. So I will.
Hey, Daniel.
Oh,
We
yes.
have a question
We
from
have a question.
Vivanshu.
Thank you. I did not see this. Vivanshu, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. I just have one question to all of the execs and be it presidents or convention chair. Basically, my question was that what's the one piece of advice that you would give when transferring from one role to another as you keep moving and moving your way through ASNA, and how do you learn? How do you transfer those skills that you've learned in something as director of events per se to something which is totally different, which is comms or something? So how do you navigate through that?
Panelists, does anybody want to jump in?
I can kick it off, and if someone wants to add, I will say we do have pretty strong documentation between each role. So every time we transition a role, the previous role holder will give a call. They'll kind of explain what the roles entails, what things to like be aware of. So I think in that sense, like a lot of the information and knowledge is passed down. But I also think that in your role, you will learn a lot through just working on different things, like how should you structure things, or like how can you set things up and organize things. And a lot of those are like soft skills, and I feel like they will transfer just like with work into a new role. So like the nature of the role might be different, but like these soft skills I think will just naturally transition over.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, how do you keep control of that overwhelming feeling when you're trying to learn something new and you feel like you don't belong there? As Darsh mentioned, that you kind of feel that this is too much, and when you first get going, and how do you manage that feeling, especially when you know the people who are a lot more qualified than you that you're working with? How do you manage that feeling and still give your best?
I can say that I still feel that now. I think every manager that I've had probably asked this question. I don't think it gets better, but I do think you get better at managing it. So for starters, I feel like for me, like asking a lot of questions helps. Also, just taking the time to like know your material. I think once you're like confident in what you know, I feel like you will feel more confident in your role. So I think that's one tip. And then also like everyone will feel some extent of imposter syndrome. So it's normal. And I don't think you really need to like stress yourself or be too hard on yourself for that. I hope that answers your question. Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Alvinson, over to you, my friend.
I'm good. So, okay, let me turn on my camera actually. Hi everyone. It's me, Alvinson, the webmaster for this year. I want to say thank you, Daniel, for a great webinar so far, and thank you to all the uh, panelists who were presenting and talking today. I had a quick question actually to the graduates, so that would be Darsh and Sue. How is life after university now, and how does it feel to uh graduate? I don't know if your graduation had happened, convocation. I know McGill's happening right now, so I can hear all that. So just how's that gone, and how's life after university so far?
I think I could probably start. I think it's a bit daunting because I haven't started working full time yet, but it's a bit scary to think that once I start, there's no visible end in sight. You know, it sort of it just keeps going on until I do something else. So I guess that part of it is scary because I'm very spontaneous, just who I am as a person. I like to do things different. Like I try to like skip things and like do something else one day, do something else. So I think that part of it is scary. But I think there's just a lot for me to learn. Like I have an insane amount of stuff to learn even when I start working. So I think my goal is just to focus on how much work do I need to do to understand as much as I can about Canadian insurance when I start working. And that alone will take a sufficient amount of time. And eventually I will find a place, like I will find my place at that job or a place for me that exists. So I think I try to look at that. And yeah, but honestly, I'm more excited than like I think I'm a little bit excited to start working to see how things are, how different things are. But it is interesting because when I'm in school, I think I become a lot more like I can just do whatever I want because like it's just like show for the exam and then classes you can't attend. It's really up to you. So I think it's a lot more lax in that way. But I think I'm excited for the life after. I'm going to pass it off to Sue. I hope I helped you, but yeah, I think Sue will have something important to say. Sue, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it feels the same. Like, because I'm also going. My job's starting full time. It's not in actual science. It's a different field. So I'm also trying to learn something about this industries and trying to prep myself from day one. Full time and co-op is probably very different experience. So it will take some time to adjust. But I think over like 3 months free time, I haven't had this time yet for 5 years. So I'm trying to learn, trying to learn French and trying to get more like side hustle going on and talking with some of my friends in Vancouver, kind of reflecting what I've been done the past 5 years. It's been interesting and just preparing myself moving forward to the next chapter. I'll have different goal, kind of switching from student mindset into working professional mindset is something that I'm trying to adapt over the 3 months. But yeah, I try to enjoy my free time as much as I can in here. So yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions for our panelists before the breakout rooms? All right. Well, before we all go off into the breakout rooms, I want to say a huge thank you to our panelists. You guys were incredible. So thank you so much for taking the time today to join us and share some of your wisdom. We all really appreciate it. Once again, a big thank you to the Canadian Institute of Actuaries who powers this webinar series. I thank you all for attending. I hope you got something valuable out of it, and I look forward to seeing you next month for our webinar with Definity, date to be published soon. With that, I will let you guys all jump into your breakout rooms and cut the recording here. Have a great night, everybody.
Can you repeat who's going in which breakout room?
Yes. So Isaac, you're going to go into the room called Abigail, Darsh, and Isaac. And then Sue and Amy will go into the other. And then students can join whichever one they would like to ask their questions.